Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is a sensor naturally defined? Progressing through our linguistic analysis till we get to a definition, a definitive set or sequence of syllability, solidifying and stabilizing sensorality as an axiom. So just moving through our steps, emphasizing anything that comes to mind, no big points at the top of my head. Sensorality postpones donation, direct iteration. What is donation to vibration? Donation, emphasizing, is a direct iteration of OD, nation. Again, we've introduced this syllability, or not even a syllable, right? Syllability is the ability to be a syllable, but this chunk of these letters in a sound, OD, sensorality. Donating is giving. Natural definition. What is donation to distribution? What is a movement to a motion? Again, there's still no clear physical, conceptual, logical difference, movement, motion, but there's some linguistic use, motion, emotion. And then again in legal discourse, fundamental theory of legality, sensorality is a motion. A motion to dismiss with prejudice, so on and so forth. Sensorality is a motion. What is resonance to consensus? Tenability is potentiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, tension is that iteration of sensation, potential. Again, we've gone through the potency, but some clear linguistic relation to tension, potential, potency. And then we had this word tenable. And then the natural definition of tenability is the ability to be ten. But if something is tenable, it is possible, it has potential. Tension is tenable, direct iteration. Tenability is the ability to be ten. Natural definition. What is civility to ability? Is civility cyclic? A notch is a step. Natural definition. What is a nudge to a notch? Is locality limited? Potential might. Direct iteration. So again, conceptually, physically, the most comprehensive word feels like locality, hence the title of the last episode, just emphasizing, again, where we're at when we're at it. Sensorality is sustainability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is the ability to sustain. Sustenance sustains. Sensorality sustains maintenance. Direct iteration. Is maintenance compliant? What is compliance to complacency? Is compliance required? Mandatory is required. Sensorality is mandatory. Natural definition, direct iteration. Demand is mandatory. Natural definition, direct iteration. Mandatory needs. Need nude. Brad needs nudes, just for example. But again, emphasizing demand is need by direct iteration and conceptually completely true. And then mandatory is required. Need is mandatory. Sensorality is e.g., i.e. Sensorality is, for example, that is. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is ample. We had that direct step very recently. Sensorality is example. Natural definition, direct iteration. Emphasizing base pair, ample, example. Sensorality is exemplification. Example has an A, exemplification, that A goes to an E. Emphasizing that. What is exemplification to amplification? What is filtration to amplification? Sensorality amplifies filtration. Direct iteration, again, conceptually, filtration is this big thing that we've been, censorship is filtration. We've said that's the direct operative word this entire time. It still feels conceptually, we haven't really gotten to filtration. But that's just another one of these facets of this overall process where, again, we get the entire quality and specifics of the whole proof, and then it's this refinement process. What is concentration to filtration? Filtration is rational. Natural definition, direct iteration. Filtration is discrete. Filtration is algorithmic. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing the direct elemental progression, EFG. Right? Algorithm, filtration, sensorality, agenticality. Are algorithms gory? Algorithms censor gore. Direct iteration. Proof by empirical evidence. Did want to point out real quick in my Financial Trading Basics 15, the video I just posted today, again, one of the Congress people was saying the word, or did the natural expansion of ridiculous to ridiculosity. In the video, the Financial Trading Basics, I said that would be a wrong generalization. That would actually be correct in terms of, again, preserving enough base to get ridiculous to ridiculosity. But the thing that I think the reason I said that's directly wrong is that there's, again, that phonetic, right? When we have some of these double iterations of a, and we're just like, we're just putting ality or ability. It's not really a meaningful linguistic structure. Ridiculosity doesn't feel like legitimate to me because of that L. Just for whatever reason, but again, just an example of somebody else producing these word forms. But again, this is how language works. This is how everybody makes word forms. And so ridiculosity conceptually would have been correct, but for whatever reason, the syllability doesn't seem consistent or doesn't seem correct in the same way we have those double A's that don't feel correct. Just something I said that's directly wrong. What is distance to dance? That step was out of order, but it was just, I just literally started writing on a different page, and so that is literally just out of order. Sensorality is gory. Natural definition, direct iteration. So here I applied that EIA relationship, but in the same way we had sensory, S-E-N-S-O-R-Y, we removed the letter Y and put the letter E because the sound E is E, and E is E, and it is what it is. That same type of direct application to the word gory. But I did put the EIA completely in there. Again, no real conceptual meaning, no real linguistic meaning, but sensorality is go reality. Natural definition, direct iteration, and then I drop the I here in a second. Gory is bloody. What is goreality to sensuality? Again, the generalization of the word sense. Sensorality senses gore. Direct iteration. Gore is ogre. Natural definition, direct iteration, complete. Sensorality is ogre, odor. Natural definition, direct iteration. You can clearly hear that elementality just like slotting in. Again, discrete, irreducible syllables in the right order produces this solidified word. Sensorality is ogreality. Sensorality is OG reality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is OD-ality to OG-ality? Gore, coarse. Again, one of these dichotomistic pairs, which I use a bunch in just the derivation of speciality. It's literally just emphasizing elementality in phonetic. Gore, coarse. That O. Really the OR iterated by the U. But just two words next to each other, no even what is this to that. What is go reality to sensor reality? Pairing up those two words with that generalization Y to E, and then add ality, and that's where we dropped the I. But that whole time, that step, the EIA, again, it doesn't feel, that's the identity, but this linguistic containment's just direct, and once we get the letters in the right order, none of these steps or the labelings really matter. And we've already validated this process, so it's really kind of redundant, but just presenting again with as much nuance. Because even if you had a person that could do a complete derivation of a physical axiom, to do the complete reduction is just a mythical jump past that, and then to have all of the insight where we're exhausting all of the logic that is present, truly, is again just completion of analysis. Gory, sensory, same thing, just a dichotomistic pair. Sensorality is go reality, natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is go space reality. What is location to identification? What is identification to filtration? Is filtration fiscal? What is fiscality to chirality? What is fiscality to fidelity? Is fiscal financial? Is fiscal prudent? Is fiscal visceral? Direct iteration. Is prudent diligent? Is diligent adamant? Demand is adamant. Natural definition, direct iteration. Need is adamant. Again, demand is need. So now here's a kind of interesting one. Adamant is mandatory. Can you see why that's an interesting containment statement? Adam is man. Who's the first man in recorded history? Adam. Adamant is mandatory. Huh. Mandatory is adamant. Natural definition, direct iteration. That's where that comes from. Adam is aardvark. Direct iteration. Ark, aardvark. Direct iteration. Pretty interesting stories with those characters. I wonder what that was. Sensorality is transparency. Is transparency complacent? Is appreciation apprehensive? Is apprehensive comprehensive? Is apprehension aggravating? What is gravity to aggravation? Direct iteration. Is gravity aggravating? Direct iteration. Sensorality maintains gains. Direct iteration. Is enticement antagonism? Is love logical? Logical local. We definitely hit that direct one. That was a short video at one point. Sensorality is a local log. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is logic algorithmic? Emphasizing the LOG in logic and the LGO of algorithmic. Are algorithms deterministic? So this is another word where again all philosophy, all isms and ists mean nothing to me, but words have meaning, and deterministic has meaning that has some logical application, but it comes up in philosophy where it's like, is the universe deterministic? Nope, you have free will, and all of you stupid idiots choose to do that, to do the wrong things. Bad stuff. But luckily for us, we derived all of history and all of science multiple times, so you guys get remembered for being total jackasses and complete criminals. I just can't speak like an actual man to a bunch of little boys and girls who can't hear words they don't like because they're in their special safe space. But are algorithms deterministic? Sensorality is deterministicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is dichotomy deterministic? What is altruism to determinism? Is dependence deterministic? Is deterministic minimalistic? Is minimal normal? Is maximal normal? Is optimal normal? All direct iterations. Again, all of these questions are produced by the syllability we have introduced. Again, it is all Again, what is continuous? Still, again, is this derivation continuous? And I still don't think anything is continuous besides space, maybe. Not the point. Minimum versus minimal. Maximum versus maximum. Again, is this word that's this natural syllability you say when you don't know something. So I want to say minimal is more defined. But then we have, this identity where we said if we go back, or if you go closer to the front of the alphabet, first, second, third, like up closer to the higher ordinals. For whatever reason, I still don't know how to articulate that. Why is that cumbersome? The front of the alphabet, the first numbers, the first placements, A, B, C, D. But we've said if you go back, or the A is like less, or is more generalized than the subsequent vowels. And so just pointing that out, overall, minimal and minimum, not really sure what's going on, but then we have that identity, as well as this overall conjecture that you get more specific as you progress through the alphabet. Pointing that out. Normality is appreciated. Natural definition. Sensorality normalizes. Sensorality is renormalization. And again, for whatever it's worth, on a personal level, like the past 3 days, the word appreciation was just like every renormalization, and that on a feeling it's kind of gotten integrated. It doesn't feel as relevant. Again, we move through the derivation rather quick. Sensorality normalizes. Sensorality is renormalization. Normality is empirical. Empirical is objective. Is a unit an item? Sensorality itemizes. Direct iteration. Is itemization normalization? Is itemization prioritization? Is polarization oppositional? Sensorality is situationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Context is situation. Contextuality is situationality. Natural definition. What is situationality to sensationality? Is sensation situational? Is sensation promotional? Emphasizing motion, pro-motion. Right? If you have motion, are you pro-motion? If you're based, are you pro-motion? I think so. Sensorality promotes sensation. Sensorality is promotionality. Emphasizing prefix, pro, motion, motionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is vibration pro-motional? What is provocation to promotion? What is motion to vocation? Is vocation vocal? Is voice vocal? What is vocality to locality? We've hit that step a bunch. Vocality, velocity, we've hit that before. What is vocality to totality? Is total complete? Is theme complete? Direct iteration. Is theme consistent? Sensorality is time theme. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is chirality to functionality? What is chirality to chemistry? Sensorality is chemistrality, just generalization of chemistry. What is ministry to chemistry? Is orality ministry? Is ministry testimony? What is testimony to alimony? Is alimony money? What is alimony to annuity? Are annuities perpetual? Is perpetual mutual? Sensorality is the limitation of proliferation. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing literally. Again, each time we say sensorality is, we are logically renormalizing, which we have never seen before. That's just saying, if you're at the forefront of all subjects and all ontology, this word, this chunk of syllability, would be complete, comprehensive, and consistent with everything else. And we're showing the direct iterations of these irreducible syllables represented by letters, which is, again, it's the completion of linguistics, and you've literally never seen anybody do linguistics. People go out there and get degrees, and it's just like, nope. People go into math class, we don't know what math is. Go into linguistics, we don't know what fluency is. Go into physics class, it's the dark energy super colliders, and you're like, holy shit. But emphasizing the limitation of proliferation, because we're defining a complete conceptual basis. What is sensorality? What is the quality of a sensor? So we show that complete iteration linguistically that shows this bound, this fundamental stability of 2, this iteration limit of 7, this inversion of E and A, the difference being I. But it's this conceptual minimum is what is well defined and what is finite, right? Sensorality, like speciality, right? Speciality is axiomatized, it's special with an ITY, it's the direct final linguistic step, but that's not all of the steps or all of the logic that will be used in articulation of theorems of proofing that is special, that is specialness. And so it's just limiting this proliferation is what, again, is just another mythical step up in terms of what you've seen in history, right? Literally somebody, Bernard Riemann, coming and saying, here's the Riemann hypothesis. And again, that's well defined in the overall ontological progression of the whole species. And then people sit around for, again, nobody solved it. It's just like, that's 200 years for like one question that's not even posed properly, and all of mathematics has not been properly articulated because you guys don't know the ontology. You've never asked a proper mathematical question. ever. And so to limit this proliferation, when you seriously see like it's not, you would have to be such like steps up in terms of generalization, abstraction, completeness, consistency, just at a conceptual, personal understanding of like where everything's at in ontology of these different subjects. And then the actual linguistic capacity to prove everything with the minimum amount of letters, words possible, and then reduce it all is just like, again, you've never even seen like an example of a reduction of a proof ever. Again, not like this. And I just want to say ever. There's never been a proof before. But this limitation of proliferation is kind of like I don't want to say the highest level. Like it's just the most like unnatural, right? In the same way, this irreducibility of language is always present. And so you can't break your cryptography of your numbers on your credit cards is solid. And basically what we're doing is we're literally, again, completely solving a linguistic chunk, sets of letters, sets of words, and the linguistic, logical, conceptual implications, which is an infinite set, actually. And it's dynamic, like it changes, it gets bigger, but we can just have this finite amount of linguistics that has to be correct because of the overall progress of history. It would have to be consistent going into the future. And so it's hard to emphasize this step because, again, you've never seen so many different steps to understand what this limitation of proliferation is. But it's just, again, you've never had a properly posed mathematical question in history. You've never seen a proof. And then to reduce all of the structure that you've introduced, again, it's this natural, it's the most unnatural thing, kind of, because you're differentiating always. And so you have to kind of go backwards because this definitive chunk of syllability is still some direct physical consequence. What is a sensor? And again, that will stabilize in this fundamental stability of 2, so these letters will match up. But again, 10 to the minus 36 seconds after the R2 stabilized. And so this fundamental definition of a sensor, we have to get the complete conceptualization linguistically so we can derive that definite part of syllability. And so that's just, again, worth emphasizing quite a bit, that this limitation of proliferation, every time we say sensorality is, that's what we're doing. And it's like, it's not arbitrary. And it's just, you would literally have to be at, each time we do that, it's saying, this is where we're at completely linguistically and conceptually with everything. Just emphasizing that, moving along. Is mitigation limitation? Is imitation identical? Identity is identical. Natural definition, sensorality is identicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is identical ideal? What is identicality to chirality? What is identicality to locality? Is chirality local? Is law local? Sensorality is local law. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is law logical? So that's just where I finished up with the derivation today. Again, emphasizing my own learning capacity. Again, not to say I'm different, but just to give you historical understanding, to be like, hey, I can derive the entire structure of mathematics, which is the entire, what you guys would call logic, frankly, syllable by syllable completely, and we already done it speciality special with an ITY, and now we're redoing it, is much more, again, of this manifestation of, again, of all of the words I've seen used to describe intelligence. Again, I would say I don't have synesthesia, but I can see why people say, well, my capacity would be that. When people say psionic, it's just like that maxed out with, again, savant level synesthesia, but then you complete them. And so on a direct personal level, if you interact with me, I wouldn't strike you as a mathematician. And so again, even if society knew what mathematics was, it's because I have when I deal with anybody else, they will naturally present logical inconsistency, and then all proof is demonstrable. So there's just I will just say one simple statement or not respond to something or just something simple, and it immediately demonstrates an empirical proof. So it doesn't strike anybody as analysis, but it's the completion. It's what happens when you complete analysis, because there's no natural logical paradoxes. When somebody says something that doesn't make sense, and you can trivially ask them a question that then elicits this understanding, this realization for them personally with their own diction. It's just undeniable, and it's just like one little question, one little statement, one little one little something. And so, again, it's just simply just emphasizing it's more of this unnatural capacity, because when I interact with other people, again, it's not the nuance. Like when people react to language, when people behave, when people are in social situations, I very provably don't think there's no more. Like I'm not doing something more, but it's just this, I don't classify anything I do as memory. I would say I have a above average memory, but nowhere close to like a savant level, or, I definitely don't have eidetic memory. The other type of intelligence, I would be able to validate the rapidity of information. Again, not to say look at me, but I don't see how intelligence could manifest in any more poignant way. But in history, you've articulated something to the effect of an encyclopedic polymath, which that verbiage would be, again, it's kind of similar to like calendar savants, where then it's just any day. That type of demonstration is kind of more to this how I feel language, or just how I feel all logic or realization. But they would be able to keep up, because they would, in terms of just, again, talking literally the articulation of what an encyclopedic polymath is, somebody who remembers literally everything they've read. But I derive the new logic. So I don't like remember things or like memorize literally anything in any sort of like outside of like a slightly above average normal memory. But I can literally just feel the structure of sound, and then the assignment of shape, which are letters, is like so profoundly trivial, but really any articulation of logic, like any articulation of proof, I'm just developing property. That's why I make these videos. I mean, again, because I can't, there's no more logical structure for me to derive. But if there was somebody who was a genuine, and I don't think there's nobody in history, the intelligence in the general, an encyclopedic polymath, has been articulated, I don't see any evidence of one existing. But that would be the only other articulated type of intelligence that could even remotely like validate the rapidity of information. But on top of that, it would be different because they have to learn the information from a book or from this person. And then you get to the limits of conceptualization. And then the only way to progress that is to do this sweeping, comprehensive linguistic extension, because the progress as language tends to optimum efficiency, the language has to be consistent with what came before it. And that's where we'll get into this general relativity, not Albert Einstein, just, again, this serendipity of meaning associated to sound. Doesn't matter which language, a song, a business handbook, and it's this refinement period where it's like I can just feel this conceptualization of the whole species literally actually. And so to demonstrate these proofs, you have to literally iterate the entire logical structure that exists and still not proliferate your diction, which is, again, just trying to emphasize like how big each time we say sensorality is natural definition, direct iteration. Again, a direct iteration is an empirical assertion that this is a natural definition. This is what this word means. Energy is movement potential. Just go say the words movement potential when anybody says energy. Again, it's overwhelmingly true. But then this logical structure is all of those natural definitions, all of these independent, sufficient differentiations of it is what it is related to one another. And they're all independent, unique, clear, logical identities directly. And so it's just like the amount of information. And then the only way that I can process that is, again, very literally because of just this like feeling. Right? But it's not feeling like, ooh, I don't know what's happening. It's just this very rigorous, and it's been, my whole life has been like this. But again, just emphasizing the limitation of proliferation. If you could prove everything that I have proven, which is, again, each step is just not known analysis for the whole species, it would be a world of difference to structure a proof in a way in which you reduce literally everything. But just emphasizing that, we're just progressing through our analysis. Again, there's some chunk of completable syllability. It'll be a direct iteration, some sort of linguistic containment, and it will have the complete differential where we can derive the stabilized definition of what a sensor is. Again, established physically in the evolution of the universe, 10 to the minus 36 seconds. But again, we're working through the linguistic implications of the range, which happens to be the minimum, or it's all bounded. Again, how big is big? We have no upper bound conceptualization or structure ability to any sort of language, diction, logical structure at all. So just progressing through the things, through our steps. Again, I do not have constitutional rights. I have zero quality of life. I just wanted to be treated like a human being, and all I'm asking for is a little bit of money that I have rightfully earned. Nothing would make my life resolved than, again, just to be able to show my parents a nice, healthy bank account that I've rightfully earned a million times over. And why can't people give me a little bit of my money is beyond me. No one cares, there are no rights, and this world is a failure, and again, my property is never allowed to be used to benefit the economy of the United States. That is what I have for tonight. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.